3 sinister true motel horror stories revealed. Haunting secrets that will chill you to the bone. Rachel gripped the steering wheel as the flickering neon sign of the decrepit motel came into view. It looked like a haunted relic from her worst nightmares, but exhaustion clung to her like a shroud. The paint peeled in ghostly gray sheets, and the sign buzzed ominously. She had to stop. Lily, her bright-eyed daughter, was still humming a tune in the back seat, oblivious to the dark clouds gathering in Rachel's mind as they entered the musty room. The air thick with stale secrets, a chilling laughter echoed through the paper-thin walls. It sent shivers racing down Rachel's spine. Were the walls alive? Memories trapped within? Pushing the feeling aside, she set Lily up with some crayons. "Just a quick rest," Rachel murmured, forcing a smile before heading towards the open window, the night air heavy with an unnatural stillness. In the hours that followed, odd figures trickled into the motel, their faces somehow familiar yet shrouded in unsettling distortions. She saw them glance toward her, their whispers rippling through the room, a chilling echo of the past. The news report about a girl who had vanished in this town resurfaced in her mind like a restless ghost. Rachel's heart raced. How could such a mundane road trip turn into this spark of dread? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. After a moment, the lights dim. Rachel and Lily cuddle on the bed, the sounds of laughter surrounding them filtering through the walls like a bad dream. Panic clawed at Rachel's heart. She turned to find Lily had vanished. "Lily!" Her voice quivered with fear. The walls squeezed closer, turning the motel into a twisted maze of shadows. Frantically, Rachel flew through the dim hallways, knocking on doors that opened to disturbingly vacant rooms. Guests peered through their curtains, eyes wide with terror, as whispers slithered around her. The motel felt like a living thing, pulsing with sinister energy. Where was her daughter? Had she fallen into some haunting void? Sprinting to the reception, dread flooded her. The staff, smiling awkwardly, felt wrong. They exchanged knowing glances and hushed tones. The shape of something unfathomable twisted in her mind. Was she entrapped in a web spun by the very people meant to protect? Just as the realization hit, an echo of laughter filled the air again, off-kilter and chilling. Rachel's breath hitched. Had she stumbled over a truth darker than she could fathom? Every moment stretched painfully, leaving only the gnawing feeling that she was walking further into a nightmare from which there would be no return. Could she find Lily before the motel swallowed them whole? Or had she already stepped onto a path from which there was no escape? The darkness loomed closer, with questions and fear creeping together as one suffocating mass. Rachel stumbled backward, her heart pounding as the laughter reverberated in her ears. Desperate, she turned and sprinted down the hallway, desperation fueling her every step. The dim lights overhead flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. "Lily!" she shouted, her voice cracking. Each door she passed loomed large, taunting her with unfulfilled potential. Could one of them hide her daughter? She threw herself against the nearest door, rattling the handle, but it was locked tight, mocking her in its silence. The whispers intensified, merging with the laughter, creating a cacophony that clawed at her sanity. Was this a nightmare? Or was it something worse? Moving faster, Rachel felt a crushing sense of time slipping away. She glanced over her shoulder, half expecting to see someone or something chasing her. The hallway seemed to stretch endlessly, each step echoing like a guilty heartbeat. Fear coiled in her stomach as she approached the reception desk again. Perhaps they knew something. Perhaps they could help. But when she reached the desk, the clerk was gone. The blinking neon vacancy sign outside flickered like a dying heartbeat, and the lobby was thick with an unwelcoming stillness. The old-fashioned bell on the counter sat silent as if waiting for her to make a wrong move. She scanned the room. Where were the other guests who had watched her so curiously before? That S when she heard it, the low, mocking giggle of a child. It was unmistakably Lily's voice. The sound came from behind a closed door marked staff only. Rachel hesitated. Her instinct screamed at her to flee. Was this a trap? But when she heard her daughter call out again, a mixture of sweetness and something far more sinister, she was propelled forward, almost against her will. She pushed the door open. The hinges creaked, echoing like a death knell. Inside, the room was dimly lit. A single fluorescent bulb buzzed above, casting a sickly hue over the scattered tools and equipment. Shelves overflowed with dusty supplies, and in the far corner, she saw a figure. It was small, hunched low. Her heart soared a moment, thinking it was Lily. "Mommy!" The innocent call shattered her heart. But as Rachel stepped closer, the figure twisted around. It wasn't Lily. It was a doll. Torn and soiled, it stared at her with lifeless eyes. The laughter floated around her again, disembodied, seeming to layer over her sanity like a vortex. Suddenly, she felt the unmistakable tug of small fingers wrapping around her leg. Her breath hitched, limbs frozen in fear as she looked down. Her daughter's familiar face beamed up at her, but the brightness had twisted into something more haunting. "Mommy, come play." A chill gripped her spine. This was not her little girl. Not anymore. The room seemed to close in, the walls whispering secrets of lost souls and forgotten nightmares. Were they trapped here? Were they always meant to be? With a surge of adrenaline, Rachel pulled away from the doll and surged back towards the hallway, her feet pounding against the floor as she raced away from whatever dark magic gripped her daughter. The laughter enveloped her, wrapping around her like a caress, beautiful yet horrifying. "Mommy, don't go." She skidded to a halt, staring back with dread. Static filled the air, and the walls moaned with tension. If this wasn't her daughter, then where was Lily? And what had the motel done to her? As terror pierced through Rachel's resolve, a door at the end of the hallway creaked open slowly, beckoning her with a sinister invitation that promised answers but at a terrible cost. What awaited her beyond that threshold? Was it salvation or a deeper descent into horror? She hesitated, heart racing, at the edge of a nightmare that was spiraling beyond her control. Rachel's breath came in shallow gasps as she stood frozen in that dim hallway. The door at the end loomed like a malignant presence, its creaking hinges whispering secrets that clawed at her nerves. She leaned against the wall for support, the chill seeping into her bones. Lily, the name slipped from her lips, a silent prayer and a desperate plea. She had to keep it together. Whatever had taken hold of her daughter was not going to win. Heart pounding, she took a shaky step toward the door. With each move, the laughter receded, but the chilling feeling of being watched transformed into a suffocating weight on her chest as she neared the threshold. The air changed, becoming colder, the shadows deeper. Was there someone waiting for her on the other side? Rachel hesitated, fingers hovering over the doorknob. She turned it slowly, bracing herself as she pushed the door open. The room beyond was darker than the hallway, a void that swallowed the light. Only a flickering candle on a small table illuminated the corners, casting grotesque shadows that twisted and writhed. Her pulse quickened as the door creaked behind her, making it feel as though the motel itself was shutting her in. "Mommy?" The voice was soft, unnerves skittering up her spine. It came from a figure perched on the floor, half hidden in darkness. Rachel squinted, unable to make out the face. "Lily?" she called, stepping inside, heart racing with anticipation. "No, silly," the figure replied, and the voice sent shivers through her. "I'm not your Lily." The words wrapped around her like icy tendrils, inescapable and tightening their grip. The figure stood up, and the flicker of candlelight illuminated its features. It was a child, but its face was twisted and wrong, with two long fingers and hollow eyes that seemed to absorb all light. It smiled, teeth sharp and glistening like broken glass. "Come play." It beckoned, dulcet yet chilling. "No." Rachel stumbled back, her mind racing as she fought against the rising panic. She spun around, but the doorway was gone, replaced by a wall of dark that pulsed with sinister energy. It trapped her in a nightmarish swirl without exit. The child's laughter echoed, drowning her in a sea of confusion. It sounded so much like Lily's but twisted, taunting her. "Mommy, why don't you love me? Stop!" Rachel screamed, heart hammering violently against her ribs. She pressed her hands against her ears, as if to shut out the horrible mimicry, fought the urge to cry. But the laughter soared, mixing with the sound of crashing waves, dark, menacing, drowning. The walls pulsated, filling with shadow until she felt like she was being consumed. She had to think, to break free. "Where's my daughter?" she shouted into the void, her voice trembling but fierce. "Lily's with us now," the twisted child replied, its smile widening. "You can't have her, but you can help us." The walls creaked in response. Rachel felt a sickening flash of dread. Help? What could that mean? Suddenly there was a crashing sound, like glass shattering. Rachel turned, and from the darkness, broken fragments of memories began to spill out, swirling around her like a storm. Images of happy times with Lily twisted into horrific visions, the flicker of light revealing dark shapes that had been hidden all along. "Help us, and you may find her." The voice echoed, now multiple, an unsettling chorus resonating off the walls. Rachel felt something brush against her ankle, cold and clammy, and looked down to see shadowy hands reaching for her, desperation sewn into their movements. Rachel's heart thundered. She couldn't let herself be ensnared. But there was no way out, no safety. She felt the cold grasp of despair sink into her bones, threatening to pull her under. As the shadows enveloped her, she screamed out for her daughter, a raw, unfiltered cry of grief and terror. In that moment of desperation, she felt a sudden pull, as if the threads of fate had been torn, and a door opened behind her. But was it the right one? "Choose, Mommy," the voices sang. "Save Lily or save yourself." Rachel's mind raced. How could anyone make that choice? With a newfound clarity, she lunged toward the shrouded exit, determination igniting a desperate energy within her. But just as swiftly, ghostly hands latched onto her wrists, pulling her back. "Stay with us, Mommy." The darkness began to close in, suffocating her in its embrace. Would she land back in the nightmare or find a path to reclaim her daughter? Rachel gasped, facing the abyss, caught between two worlds, a decision she may not survive to make. Dark laughter rang in her ears as she braced for the inevitable. Would this be the end or just the beginning? Panic tightened Rachel's chest as the voices swelled and distorted, echoing through the oppressive darkness. She could feel the chilling fingers grasping at her, intent on dragging her into their twisted reality. Her heart raced, pushing her into action. "Get away from me," she shouted, ripping her wrists free with every ounce of strength she had. She turned, ready to dive toward what she hoped was that mysterious door, her last chance to escape this nightmare. But it was gone. The wall loomed before her, smooth and unyielding, as if mocking her desperation. The shadows writhed relentlessly, pulsing like a heartbeat, pulling at her resolve. "Help us," they cried in unison, their voices writhing in a cacophony of horror, each syllable laced with malice. "We're waiting, we're hungry." Touching the wall, Rachel felt the icy heat emanating from it. I want tea," she roared, her resolve bitter against the encroaching despair. "Mommy!" The call came again, this time from a voice that cut through the twisted mirth, a voice that sounded so achingly like her daughter's. It spread warmth in her core, igniting hope. She turned her head, narrowing her eyes against the darkness, searching for Lily. "Lily, where are you?" But the shadows closed in, and the laughter twisted, a sinister confirmation that her daughter was lost within this chaos. With a renewed determination, Rachel braced her body against the wall. She pounded it with her fists, desperation fueling her strength. "Let her go. You want me? Take me. Just let her go." The walls quivered at her challenge, the shadows hesitating for a moment, then lunging toward her in a wave of darkness, wrapping around her limbs like serpents. She gasped as their cold touch stung her with icy fear. "We are one, Mommy, the voice hissed, and that dreadful smile flooded back too wide, too knowing. It was all around her now, suffocating, blending the memories and nightmares into a single pulse of terror. Enough! Rachel screamed, feeling the other specters retreat slightly, as if her voice had caught them off guard. She was in control if only for this moment. Lily, if you can hear me, hold on. Please just hold on. Suddenly, there was a flicker in the darkness, a sudden burst of light that pierced the obscurity. Rachel squinted, witnessing the faint outline of a figure in the distance. She was certain it was Lily. Mommy! The cry was raw, filled with fear and longing. This was no twisted imitation. Rachel's heart soared, a tether to hope, a lifeline to her daughter as she fought against the grasping shadows. Hang on. I'm coming. Rachel charged forward, focusing on the blurry silhouette. She stretched out her hand, feeling the air crackle between them in electric anticipation. But just as she neared, the shadow swarm thickened, surrounding her with renewed fervor, consuming the light whole. No! The chorus screamed, shrill and desperate. You can't take her. The ghastly hands gripped her with renewed rage, pulling her back. In her mind, she heard Lily's voice fighting through the noise, a whisper laced with love and a surge of strength. Mommy, don't let go. Rachel's heart split, teetering. Fear clawed at her chest and summoned the beast of her nightmares. Please, just let her go. The words tore from Rachel's throat, raw and desperate, and then she felt it like a thread snapping. The atmosphere shifted, and the shadows shrieked in anguish, releasing their grip ever so slightly. She could see the outline of Lily clearer now, the innocence shining through the encroaching darkness. But the shadows wouldn't relent. They surged, their whispers morphing into manic growls, clawing at Rachel's sanity. Stay with us. Help us. Join us. As the last embers of light flickered, Rachel's determination sealed the final connection. She could feel Lily's presence, a warmth pressing against the cold. I will not be yours. The shadows roared, a tempest of rage and hunger, and just as quickly, the room reverted, plunging Rachel into darkness again. The realization sunk deep. This was just the beginning of their game. An eerie silence enveloped her, the voices now restrained, waiting, biding their time. Rachel's legs trembled as she turned slowly, heart racing, knowing she had one chance left. What lay waiting in the shadow's grasp? Was it her daughter or something far more sinister? The air thickened around her as a chilling laugh echoed. You can't escape this, Mommy. The game has just begun, and in that moment, Rachel knew she was not alone. What haunted these walls was more than lost souls. It was a darkness that reveled in despair. But she would fight. She had to. There was no other choice. When the shadows lunged again, she steeled herself for whatever truth awaited her in the depths of terror lurking behind the moans and whispers. Would she find a path to her daughter or descend deeper into madness? Breath caught in Rachel's throat as the chilling laugh reverberated through the void. Instinct screamed at her to flee, to escape the suffocating grip of the shadows. Yet, backed against the wall, she felt the weight of the abyss pressing in from all sides, holding her captive like a fly in a spider's web. Mommy, that gentle plea shot through her, filled with desperate innocence and pounding her heart like a drum. It was like a beacon, illuminating her darkest fears. She had to fight, had to resist the pull of this dark realm. Lily! Rachel's voice trembled, but she clenched her fists and shouted with every ounce of defiance. I'm coming for you. I will find you. The shadows momentarily stilled, as if her conviction shook them, but it was only a fleeting pause. We won't let her go. The cacophony hissed back, spitting the words like venom. It felt like they were closing in, crunching her resolve down to nothing, reducing light to whispers. Desperation clawed at her sanity. She spun, searching her surroundings for a sign, any clue to find Lily. There above the wall, amidst twisting shadows, a flicker of light danced teasingly, almost inviting her. Lily. She yelled again, voice echoing off the cold walls. For a heartbeat, the shadows slumbered, uncertainty seeping through their angry shrieks. Rachel stepped towards the flicker, breath quickening. Every instinct told her to retreat, but her yearning for her daughter overwhelmed her terror. She reached for the light, grappling in the thick, suffocating darkness. It was as if she were trying to break the surface of a deep, black lake, clawing for breath. But as she edged closer, the shadows writhed anew, furious at her intrusion. They swirled like a dark storm, voices merging into a haunting dirge. You think you can save her? You are one of us now. You belong to the darkness. Rachel squeezed her eyes shut, blocking out the chaos surrounding her. She couldn't listen to them. This isn't real. This won't be my reality. She wouldn't let them claim her. Wouldn't let them consume her spirit. Focus, she needed to focus. Lily. An image flooded her thoughts. Her daughter's laughter, her bright smile. The memory ignited her resolve. You're stronger than this. The words surged from her heart, echoing into the void. You are my light. The shadows recoiled as if struck, momentarily falling silent. In that heartbeat she dared to believe. Lily, I'm coming. Hold on. Just then, the flickering light flared brighter, illuminating the grotesque flickers of shadow around her. They shrank back. The cries turned to fearful whispers. Mommy, there it was again, faint but clearer, drawing her further into the radiance. Rachel lunged toward it, the warmth of hope pressing against her like a tide. But the shadows weren't done. They surged back, shrieking with a vengeance as they swarmed around her. You can't escape. You can't keep her. Rage coursed through Rachel. She would not allow them to win. She pushed forward, arms cutting through the dark tendrils as she fought towards Lily. As she reached for the flicker, the shadows roared like a tempest, trying to drag her back. Panic ignited deep in her stomach as an inhuman hand grasped her ankle, tugging at her sanity. Join us, they screamed. You'll never find her. I will find her, she insisted, just as her grasping hand caught a warm, soft hand that responded back. In that moment, a surge of light enveloped Rachel, weaving around her like a protective cocoon. The darkness shrieked, an anguished howl that reverberated through her bones. She felt the warmth of Lilia's hand tighten on hers, and with a cry, Rachel pulled her daughter to her, gripping her little frame tightly until the darkness roared once more, rampaging towards their light. The shadows were relentless, and despite the embrace of love, Rachel felt cold fingers snatching at her heart. You will not take her. But as the shadows crashed down, the burst of light swelled, growing brighter, illuminating the horrific landscape in a radiant blaze. Let go of me, she screamed, knowing the ultimate choice laid before her: trust in their bond, or allow the wicked entities to tear them apart. But the weight of despair clung to her, seeping into her soul like poison. Would she break in the face of such darkness? The shadows encroached, a mass of writhing nightmares, clawing ever closer, begging her to yield. The light faltered, flickering precariously like a candle in a storm. As a dark tide rose to engulf them, Rachel steeled herself, heart pounding against the emptiness. Would she and Lily be snatched away into the hands of the abyss, or could they find a way to survive together? A new voice, distinct from the shadows, cut through the chaos, a whisper, yet stronger than all the screams. Mommy, don't give up on me. In that harrowing moment, Rachel knew that the next choice would shatter everything. What would she sacrifice to save her daughter? The pain in Rachel's chest intensified, each heartbeat like a cruel reminder of the darkness surrounding them. She clenched Lily's hand tighter, feeling the warmth pulse against her trembling skin. The light was fading, and the shadows were getting closer, slithering and writhing like serpents hungry for prey. No, her voice cracked, desperation laced with fury. We will not give in. But the shadows only laughed, a sound that echoed like broken glass in a silent room. You think you can fight us? You are nothing. This is where you belong. Mommy, Lily whimpered, her small voice trembling and fragile, piercing through the chaos. Rachel's heart lurched. The fear in her daughter's voice ignited a flame deep within her. Let them come, Rachel roared, summoning every ounce of strength she had left. You won't take her. She held Lily close, eyes narrowing as she faced the encroaching dark, With a sudden burst of adrenaline, she pushed back against the shadows, the warmth of their bond radiating outward, forming a barrier. The darkness hissed, recoiling as if burned. For a moment, she felt a surge of hope power through her. "Lily," she called, forcing words through clenched teeth. "We need to find a way out. Follow the light." But how could she know if it was the right direction? How could she trust that what beckoned them was anything but a further trap? They had come so close, and yet, the shadows loomed closer, their grip tightening around Rachel's throat, constricting her thoughts. In the maelstrom, she caught a glimpse of something sinister, a figure cloaked in shadow, its face obscured, yet somehow, she could feel its eyes boring into her soul. "You can't save her, Rachel. She is ours." "No." The word erupted from her, fueled by primal instinct. "She is my daughter." Lily's small body trembled, her eyes wide with fear. "Mommy, don't let them take me." A flicker of something, an echo of a memory, perhaps fueled Rachel's resolve. She remembered the day they had built a fort in the living room, giggling as they draped blankets over chairs. It had been their safe space, their sanctuary, a fortress built from love and joy. She embraced that memory now, grounding herself. "Stay close to me," Rachel shouted, thrusting her arm forward. "Together we'll break through." The moment was electric, as if time slowed. She surged through the shadows like a battering ram, Lily at her side, each step a testament to their bond. The darkness fought back, clawing at her mind, whispering of failures, of despair. But she pushed harder, focused on the warmth of her daughter's hand in hers. Then, a terrible realization struck her. What if this was merely an illusion? A cruel trick of the shadows? A way to lure her deeper into their grasp? Doubt began to take root, but she couldn't afford to waver now. "Lily," Rachel cried, coaxing the warmth back into her daughter's grip, feeling her struggling spirit against the onslaught. "You are strong. We can do this." The shadows roared as if awakening, fury igniting like wildfire. "You will pay for this," they screeched, painting the air with terror. But Rachel didn't care. It was time to confront the darkness head-on. She rushed forward, the last flicker of light guiding her, the haunting cries of the shadows blending into a desperate symphony of rage. Suddenly there was a shift. The ground beneath her feet felt like soft earth, giving way as she staggered. Rachel's stomach dropped, the sense of falling enveloping her. The light blinked, fading like a candle under a gust of wind. She could hear the whispers intensifying. In that moment, time itself felt like it was unraveling. She and Lily fell through, darkness swallowing them whole as desperate screams filled Rachel's ears. With one final push, she gripped Lily's hand tightly. "Whatever happens, we stick together." But from the depths of the dark void came an icy voice, dripping with malice. "You've made your choice, Rachel. Will you sacrifice your only hope?" As dread seeped into her bones, she realized perhaps she was never meant to escape. What if this abyss was the only way to save Lily, or destroy them both? Rachel's mind spiraled as fate loomed before her, tantalizing yet terrifying, challenging her to make the ultimate sacrifice. Was she prepared to pay that price? Rachel's heart raced, beating in chaotic rhythm against the oppressive darkness. The voice echoed inside her head, its chilling words wrapping around her like a vice. Sacrifice? The thought ignited a pure, primal fear that filled her with dread. "Mommy, what is happening?" Lily's small voice trembled beside her. The innocence in her tone tore at Rachel's heart, grounding her even amidst the swirling void. "We're going to find a way out, honey. Trust me," Rachel shouted back, her voice strained but determined. Still holding Lily's hand, she could feel the cold, clammy presence of the shadows gathering closer, encircling them like a noose. Rachel pushed against the darkness, every ounce of strength now focused on her daughter. "Stay with me," she urged, fighting to keep fear out of her voice. They were falling, yes, but the light had to be there. She wouldn't let it go, couldn't let it go, not for a second. "Look, Mommy, there's something." Lily pointed into the dark. In that split moment, an eerie glow flickered, illuminating a path ahead. It was weak and feeble, But a light was a light. Just a little closer, Rachel urged, pulling on Lilia's hand as they drifted toward it. Sweat slicked her palms, mixing with Lilia's innocence, creating an anchor against despair. But the shadows responded, coiling tighter, screaming distorted sorrows that echoed in their minds. You think you can cling to the light? You will never escape. The ground beneath them shifted again, and Rachel could feel it starting to spiral, dizziness gnawing at her. Time seemed to fold and collapse, wrapping around them in its embrace. Panic rose like bile in her throat. Would she fail her little girl? Close your eyes, Rachel shouted, not certain why she said it, but needing to control something. She herself squeezed her eyes shut, focusing on the warmth of her childish hand, the flickering hope just ahead. When she opened them again, they had landed softly, as if embraced by an invisible force. The shadows thinned, retreating slightly like smoke in a breeze, allowing the flickering light to grow stronger. But the serenity was short-lived. The familiar figure from before emerged from the depths of the darkness, stepping into the light. It was shadowy yet humanoid, its eyes glowing like white-hot coals, fixated on them. You've come far, but you cannot escape what you are. Who are you? Rachel's voice faltered, the intense, all-encompassing dread consuming her. I am the Keeper of Darkness, it hissed, a twisted smile playing on its lips. You've been chosen, Rachel. Merely a sacrifice to seal the bond. Never, Rachel said, sensing its intentions, desperation electrifying her veins. Rage flooded her senses, pushing her against the fear. I will not let you take her. Lily stood behind her, still and silent, but Rachel could feel the trembling quake of her small body as she clutched her mother's leg tight. The Keeper of Darkness turned its gaze to the child, a sinister chuckle escaping its lips. Ah, but children are ever so precious, and her spirit, so pure she would be a glorious addition to our collection. No, Rachel screamed, stepping forward. You will not touch her. With determination, she fell to her knees, closing the last distance to the ground. She pressed her palms against the earth, feeling its pulse against her skin. Within her chest, a deep rage ignited a mother's love, morphing into a force she never knew she had. In that moment, a brilliant surge of light erupted around her, shattering the shadows like glass. But the figure let out a furious shriek, the sound a cacophony of despair. You think you can wield such light? You will pay dearly for this. The ground trembled violently beneath them, a swirling chaos threatening to tear them apart. Rachel's heart raced, grappling with the terror of what was yet to come. What are you doing? Lily cried, her eyes wide with fright. I'm fighting for us, Rachel shouted back, drawing on all the love she felt for her daughter, every joyful moment they had shared. Stay with me. The shadows writhed and shrieked, retreating with a cacophony that reverberated in the air. Yet, Rachel sensed the darkness didn't retreat. It was merely gathering its strength, lurking in the edges, waiting for the inevitable moment of their weakness. Breath grew heavy, thumping wildly in her chest, fear flooding back in waves as the darkness stirred beyond the flickering light. Would it come back to claim them? Rachel glanced down at Lily, who looked up at her with tears brimming in her eyes. Is this it, Mommy? Are we going to be okay? Rachel's heart twisted. I don't know, love, but I promise to fight with everything I have. As the shadows coiled back, a ghostly whisper crept into her ear, chilling her very bones. This isn't over. The true sacrifice is yet to be revealed. And in that moment, the air grew thick with tension. Rachel realized the true battle was just beginning, and the darkness had surprises left in store. What would the shadows demand in the end? The air crackled around them, thick with dread and foreboding. Rachel clutched Lily tighter as if she could somehow shield her from the surrounding shadows. The Keeper of Darkness stood before them, eyes smoldering, but its focus shifted, the grin stretching wider, revealing teeth that whispered of centuries of anguish. Are you ready to discover the truth behind the light? It hissed, its voice a haunting melody that reverberated through the dense air. Rachel's spine stiffened. We won't play your twisted games. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She needed to protect Lily. They had to escape. There had to be a way. You misunderstand, the keeper crooned, stepping closer, the shadows swirling like a tempest at its feet. The light is an illusion, Rachel. Cannot save you. It must be fed. A shiver ran down Rachel's spine. Fed? Fed with what? Her voice trembled, but she wouldn't back down. Sacrifice. Its voice flickered like the dying light around them. The bond must be sealed with something precious. Lily whimpered behind her. Mommy. I'm scared. Her innocence was like a beacon, both a comfort and a knife twisting deeper into Rachel's heart. No, Rachel screamed, her voice raw and primal. You won't take her. You'll have to go through me first. The words tasted bitter, but they were a lifeline. The keeper laughed, a sound that clawed at Rachel's mind. Bravery shrouded in desperation. But you'll soon understand the depths of despair. Suddenly, the ground beneath them cracked, fissures of darkness revealing glimpses of a realm teeming with shadows that writhed and moaned. The glowing light pulsed erratically, sending waves of anxiety coursing through Rachel. Mommy, I want to go home. Lily sobbed, her small hands tightening around Rachel's leg as the shadows surged closer, hungry to consume them. Stay close, Rachel shouted, thoughts racing. She needed a plan. Even as she looked around desperately for an escape, she felt the darkness creeping in, seeping into her skin. It felt alive, whispering secrets and fears long buried. Your love will be your undoing. Rachel. The keeper spoke again, its voice dripping with malice. Every thread of hope you weave only binds you further. Rachel could feel that binding, each moment of tenderness becoming a fragile link in her fate. The past haunted her, memories of failed promises and lost moments clawing at her mind. Mommy! Lily's high-pitched scream pierced through her thoughts when a shadow lunged forward, reaching for her. Rachel instinctively lunged to shield her daughter, but the tendrils of darkness were faster, wrapping around her wrist like icy chains. No! Rachel shouted, a surge of rage flaring within her. But as the shadows pressed in, she saw glimpses of her past, her failures, fears, regrets. Each one twisted, contorting into a grotesque reflection of her soul's torment. You will understand in time just what you must give, the keeper whispered, drawing closer. Its coals burned brighter, as if fueled by her anguish. The light around them dimmed, flickering like a candle ready to go out. Mommy, help me. Lily's little voice shattered her resolve for a brief moment, and Rachel fought against the shadows, the icy grip tightening around her wrist. Yes, fight, the keeper taunted, but in doing so you only draw closer to your fate. With a primal scream, Rachel summoned every ounce of strength she had, pushing against the dark, willing the light to burst forth. She felt her energy drain, her love for Lily fueling an urgent need to escape. Desperation clawed at her as she realized that they might be very close to the threshold of sacrifice. Lily, listen to me, Rachel gasped. We have to break free. The shadows writhed, pulling against her, sucking the warmth from the air, threatening to engulf them both. But the keeper was right. Something precious had to be given, and the question lingered in the air. What would she sacrifice to save her little girl? Rachel's breath hitched, a realization dawning that chilled her further than the shadows ever could. As the keeper loomed closer, revealing its true, monstrous form, Rachel knew deep down that the price of their freedom was about to be unveiled. Are you willing to pay it? The keeper rasped, eyes blazing with excitement, as the shadows whispered secrets only she could hear. Rachel's heart raced, pounding with unfathomable terror. She had to choose, and the choice would either save them or doom them both. What would she sacrifice to escape the darkness? The shadows twitched, hungry and alive, curling around Rachel and Lily like a predator stalking its prey. Rachel's heart thundered as the keeper leaned in, its breath a putrid mix of desperation and glee. Every part of her screamed to run. But where would they go? The encroaching darkness offered no haven, only dread. Let her go. Just take me, Rachel cried, her voice cracking. In that moment, the darkness pressed in tighter, suffocating each breath, a battle against the despair clawing at her insides. "Ah, but you must learn, Rachel." The keeper's voice slithered through the air, visceral and cold. "Sacrifice must always come from love, but it demands exchange. What, I wonder, are you truly willing to part with?" Lily's little fingers trembled against Rachel's leg, her wide eyes reflecting the depth of the abyss. "Mommy, please." Rachel turned to her daughter, a wave of anguish and fury flooding through her. In that fragile innocence, a choice loomed. She could feel the shadows tightening around them, gnashing like teeth. There had to be something, anything she could give that wouldn't doom them. But panic clawed at her, and thoughts raced like wild fireflies in a storm. The keeper laughed, the sound sharp and cruel, echoing in the emptiness like a death knell. "Feed me your love. Not at a glance, but in truth. Every stitch of warmth will enhance my power." Rachel's eyes flicked to the growing darkness. Memories flashed like lightning. Laughter at a picnic, bedtime stories, the smell of Lily's hair when she kissed goodnight. Moments of joy twisted into daggers now, turning trust into something that threatened to shatter. "No." Rachel grabbed Lily tightly. The thought of bargaining made her nauseous. "I won't give you anything. I won't help you. Watch her closely, brave mother." The keeper hissed, its voice wrapping around them like fog. In desperation, one learns the truth. Suddenly, the ground quaked, shifting beneath them. Rachel stumbled, dragging Lily with her, who clung to her mother like she was the last rope in a storm. The shadows erupted, writhing and shrieking, demanding acknowledgement. Rachel felt their cold whispers brushing against her skin, coercing her to surrender, to relent. "No, get away," Rachel shouted, unleashing her fury. Each word was a weapon, but the shadows enveloped her like a dark wave, threatening to pull them under, to swallow them alive. The keeper's eyes flashed, more alive than the shadows themselves. "You misjudge the nature of love, Rachel. It is the ultimate currency, precious and costly." "Shut up." Rachel felt her desperation surge. "I won't listen to your lies." In her heart, beneath the terror, something flickered, a glimmer of rebellion. There had to be another way. She could feel it. With sheer determination, Rachel let go of the grip on her wrist. The chain of shadows tightened, but she focused on the love she felt for Lily, the purest and most potent thing she possessed. "Whatever you want from me, you don't get," she yelled into the swirling darkness. "I will never betray my child." Lily's tearful eyes met hers with a mixture of fear and hope. Rachel could feel her strength growing, drawing from that bond a connection resolute enough to ignite a spark. The keeper recoiled, momentarily stunned. "No, you cannot defy me, Rachel." But Rachel felt it, the light pulsing brighter, building within and around them, fueled by her protective love. Clenching her fists, she raised them, pushing back against the suffocating shadows. The room sparked with energy, a crackling crescendo ready to erupt. "Yes. Come on, Lily. We fight this together," Rachel screamed, determination surging through her veins. But in that instant, a shadow lunged forward, piercing the veil that separated them from the depths of despair. It reached into Rachel's heart, and in one chilling heartbeat, she realized the keeper had found a way to turn their bond against them. "Sacrifice will bring clarity, my dear." As darkness flooded in, drowning her will, Rachel's scream mixed with the shadows. She had fought hard, but was it enough? Lily's terrified gaze filled Rachel's mind, and just before the shadows consumed her soul, she whispered a desperate prayer. What price would she pay when darkness threatened to unravel all hope? The air thickened, suffocating. As the shadows began to whisper again, what would she face when the depths of despair swallowed everything she loved whole? The darkness was claustrophobic, swirling around Rachel as she struggled to pull herself from the depths of despair. The keeper loomed, its eyes blazing like twin suns, hungry and insatiable. "You will yield," it hissed. "Your love will be your downfall." Rachel's heart thudded violently in her chest, thunderous and chaotic. She could feel the chilling weight of the shadows pressing in, squeezing her spirit. But in that terrifying moment filled with shadows and screams, her resolve knitted together a flicker of defiance. "No." Rachel roared, the sound bursting free like a shot fired in the dark. I will not surrender to you. The shadows howled in fury, and as they lunged, Rachel clutched Lily's hand, anchoring herself and her daughter against the suffocating tide of despair. Memories crashed around them, mingling with the shadows. Lily's giggles at the park, their quiet bedtime talks filled with dreams, the warmth of sunlight filtering through autumn leaves during their picnics. Each shard of light reminded Rachel of her strength, building a fortress against the gloom. Mommy, I'm scared. Lily's small, trembling voice cut through the darkness, igniting a fire within Rachel unlike anything she had felt before. Rachel crouched down, meeting her daughter's frightened gaze with determination. Lily, listen to me. We are stronger than this darkness. I love you more than anything, and we will find a way out together. The shadows recoiled, and a flicker of light burst forth, illuminating the shadowy corners surrounding them. Bond together, our light is stronger than you think. Rachel shouted, and together, they raised their joined hands high. The darkness writhed in frustration, each malevolent whisper tightening its grip. But the warmth between their palms expelled a brighter glow. It suffused their bodies, as if love itself was a tangible force. Then an echo broke from the depths of the void, a keening scream from the keeper. This cannot be. You were meant to sacrifice her to me. A swell of energy surged from Rachel, fueled by her sheer will to protect her daughter. You think I would ever give you my child? You'll never take her. In a heartbeat, they charged forward, Lily's love entwining with Rachel's resolve, pushing the shadows away like a rushing tide. Together, they propelled that radiant burst of light forward, and with it came the echoes of laughter, sweet and innocent, defying the dark terror that sought to consume them. The shadows buckled, howled, and surged in desperation, but Rachel was relentless. We are more than your playthings. You will not win. She fought against the advancing darkness, channeling every ounce of maternal strength. With one final push, their bond sparked bright, so bright it lit a path through the swirling blackness. A blinding flash erupted, sending shockwaves through the darkness. Rachel felt the clutches of despair loosen from her heart as she instinctively shielded Lily, whose small form shone with newfound brilliance. In that moment, everything felt suspended, as if time held its breath. As the light expanded, the keeper shrieked, revealing a horror that had been hidden beneath the surface, a creature of despair, flailing against the onslaught of warmth that Rachel and Lily forged together. The shadows writhed in agony, shrieked, and twisted as they were pulled apart like smoke in the wind. With a final gasp, the darkness shattered, collapsing like a deflated balloon, releasing a flurry of whispers. I'm sorry. Unable to guard my own? Rachel staggered, pulling Lily close as they emerged, gasping into the light, a sanctum bright and unwavering. They were free. The air was thick with warmth and hope, filling Rachel's lungs like sunlight breaking through clouds after a storm. She stared down at her daughter. We did it, Lily. We fought them together. Lily grinned, relief washing over her little face as she snuggled against her mom. I was so scared, Mommy. I know, sweet girl. But you were so brave. Rachel held her close, savoring the moment, their bond stronger than ever, forged in fire and love. Exhaustion crept in, but safety cradled them like a gentle embrace. Let us go home, Rachel whispered, brushing her fingers through Lily's hair one last time as they stepped into the bright expanse before them. Hand in hand, they walked forward, leaving the haunted echoes of the motel behind, a twisted part of their journey. Home was ahead, waiting, but first, they had to heal. As they approached their car parked under the fading light, Rachel felt gratitude swell in her heart. Yes, the scars of that night would remain, a reminder that love conquers darkness. But this was not merely a farewell to the darkness, it was a new beginning. Together, they would reclaim the world outside, one heartbeat at a time, pressing forward into the dawn. Don't let this chilling tale fade from your memory. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories, the ones that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this heart-stopping conclusion. And don't wait even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible ending. True fans know how important it is to support the channel. So take action now.